So do you remember when you were younger and you'd be like, can't wait to have a house when I'm older? It's going to be like on 18 acres, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, like 7 or 8 stories. I'm going to have like a pool, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm going to build my own beach.
Yeah, because that's the norm.
That's, yeah, no, 100%. And you fully thought that this was going to happen.
Oh, yeah. And it would be so fucking easy.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I was like, I don't know if Ireland's for me, really, you know? I think I'm more for La La Land or something along that lines.
Do you know what I used to do? I used to think about, like me school.
Yeah.
Transforming it into my own gaff.
Wow.
I don't know. I just used to sit there and imagine it. It's probably because I was fucking sick of school.
Oh,
Hello, and you are very welcome along to the Unpopular Opinion podcast. My name is Jen.
and my name's Carla.
And this week we're going to be talking about Ireland's housing crisis. If you are a listener outside of Ireland who has indeed not emigrated because of the state of Ireland, Ireland is going through a bit of a housing crisis at the moment.
And has been, I think, I don't think we've ever been out of a housing crisis for the past, like since 95, I'm going to say.
No.
Like 20, 23, 24 years.
Since before the Fourth recession in the 80s.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would agree, yeah.
Definitely. I mean, it goes back as far as, tenements and all of that kind of crack. But I think at the moment, the issue is just how expensive housing is.
It's how quick it builds up. It's like, during the recession, it was like, oh, jeez, if you had a bit of money now, you could nearly just go ahead and buy a house. Like, do you know what I mean? Not that you'd be giving a mortgage.
Literally.
But it was like so affordable. It was actually ideal for first time buyers. And then the minute we got out of the recession and everybody started working again, it was all of a sudden just not affordable anymore.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it was. I have a question for you with 2 parts to that question.
Okay, 2 part. Ooh.
So, first part, how has today's housing crisis affected you? And part 2, because we know your current situation is you're still living with Ray.
Yeah, my dad's back room, yeah.
So basically, what's your outlook? How is your outlook looking, basically, for the future, the near future, with this housing crisis going on?
Well, I suppose, like, firstly, I've lived in a couple of different countries. I lived in the UK and I lived in the US. Mm-hmm. So I know what it's like to rent in those places, obviously. But the UK is nearly as bad as over here, Jen.
Really?
Yeah, like we moved into an apartment. So a little bit of a backstory. When I moved to Cambridge, so Cambridge is obviously very rich place of England. It's Cambridge University. It's generally for tourists. So we lived 25 minutes outside of Cambridge in a place called Haverhill. And Haverhill was actually built as a London overspill.
Right.
And it's around an hour and 15 minutes from, if you were driving straight on the motorway, an hour and 15 minutes. So isn't it mad just how big the UK is?
It's Jesus. Like, that would be...
It's like Longford. We were like essentially living in Longford and it was a commuter town to London.
Wow.
But I will say the trains over there are absolutely excellent.
Oh yeah, their system is a lot more...
So we'd fly. Like if I got the train from Cambridge, so I drive to Cambridge station, 20-minute drive, then get the train into London. I'd be in London in 45 minutes in King's Cross.
Right, okay.
Like bang in the centre. So I almost felt it was easier to commute in.
Yeah.
Than it is kind of over here.
Yeah.
Like if you're anywhere outside of
There's literally one fucking train track, like from Minute. Yeah. And that's as far as it goes.
And that's basically it. Like, and then they have the Dart on the south side. Yeah. I don't even know how the fuck that works.
This is like I know they have train tracks all over Ireland, but so far as commuting to Dublin for an everyday kind of thing,
it's shite.
It's the furthest it goes is Minute, and even at that, you still need to get 2 trains. Like.
Yeah, absolutely. Like Tom's dad lived in Haverhill, bought in Haverhill to commute to London.
Yeah,
and that's what people did.
Yeah,
and it was like a 2-hour journey. Yeah, that's no problem. That's fine. Like that's normal.
Yeah,
like that's how everybody like thinks over there. Okay. But I will say it is totally different over there. But obviously, we were living over there. We ended up renting. Now rent is a lot cheaper, I will say. We had a lovely 3-bed in a brand new estate in Haverhill. So when we went, actually kind of funny story, but when we went looking at apartments and houses, well, fuck me, like we just had the worst luck.
Right.
Like one we went into and it smelled of chip fat.
Oh God.
There was a baby on the floor.
A real baby?
She had just had her child on the floor.
Oh, was this like an open viewing?
No, like you had to make an appointment. So we went in and there was just like this baby on the floor. And I was like, so there's a child
Right.
And she was just like, yeah, here's a room, here's the other room.
This was the landlord.
This was the girl who was living there who was showing it around because we were looking at it to move in, like, and it was $650 a month. It was a 2-bed. Place was filthy.
Right.
Like, well, obviously, smell of chip fat. But we were like asking her about bills. She thought, I don't know, my partner deals with that.
Oh God.
I don't know, my partner deals with that. And I was like, so you've no information whatsoever. Like, you just don't know, do you?
Fuck's sake.
And then the second house we went to go see was in a place called Linton, but over there they do it differently. So over here you rent, and you know the way everything's kind of built into your rent, and then you can be plus bills, or sometimes they'll have rent including bills. Over there you have to pay council tax, you have to pay like all these little random fees. So it all actually adds up. So if you're looking at a house for like 800, like our house in the end was 895, but we were paying 1250.
Right.
After
okay.
council tax, after your kind of, I think there was something else random that you had to pay that I was just like, what? Because I was like, oh, that's grand, that's well in budget. And then Tom was like, and then you add on your council tax, Carla. But the council tax is per area. So because we were in Haverhill, right, we were counted as Suffolk. So we were on the border. So where Haverhill is, it's the border of Essex, Suffolk and London. So we were in like a little circle, I suppose, because we were right there. So it's quite central to live in. But the minute that you went into that Cambridgeshire border, you had to pay 500 quid in council tax.
Jesus.
Whether it's in Haverhill, I think it was 180.
Is how often?
Every month.
Every month?
Every month.
Wow. At least we don't have that over
Yeah.
here.
And then you had to pay, sorry, there was another thing, there was signing fees. That was another thing that, sorry, no, the council tax was 200 per month, 250 per month in Linton, which was this place in Cambridgeshire. And then I think it was like 100 per month in Haverhill. But to do registration fees, they have all this shit as well. And like registration fees for us to go to that place in Linton that we went and looked at was like 650 quid. To do it in Haverhill, it was 220 quid.
Fucking hell.
So you're not actually getting... So there is... It's weird because I always say to Tom, I feel like we have a better system over here for renters.
Yeah.
But then he's like, no, you fucking don't. You can't rent anywhere over here for less than $2,000. And I'm like...
That's true. Yeah, well, the
not wrong.
rates, definitely. But that's down to the landlords.
That's landlords, whether it's over there. And what I think is excellent as well is in the UK, they have a deposit scheme. So you don't pay your deposit to the landlord.
Okay.
The deposit goes to like almost an office. Do you get me?
Yeah.
It's held and froze there. And then once you leave, there's like a 30-day grace period where one of you can rebuttal the deposit. So the landlord could go and be like, I want that 1,500 quid because they're after wrecking the kitchen.
And you can dispute
send in
it
photos, blah, 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 blah. But you're going through an agent almost.
Okay, so
you're not,
that's-
it's not tit for tat, and there's protection.
that's
And it's
good.
called protection. So when you're signing your leases and when you're signing all of your bits and bobs, there's like all of that protection for you.
Right, okay, that's
And I was
good.
like, grand. Now, obviously, Tom deals with all that. I haven't a fucking shite when it comes to it. It's like, where am I signing? What's going on?
Yeah.
But such a better idea.
Okay.
Because you're protected then against, and if they rebuttal you and you go back with it, you're going back and forth.
Yeah.
And they assign you a lawyer, like somebody who deals with
Okay,
that. And
yeah.
that's just dealt with that. And then you pay like a very small fee,
So
I
like
think.
basically Judge Rinder.
Yeah. Basically Judge Rinder, yeah. 100%. Actually,
Right.
funnily enough, a guy that I worked with in Cambridge was on Judge Rinder.
No way.
Yeah, good old Jake. Don't know if you're listening, but you were on it.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
I can't even remember what it was about.
But over here, what's your experience? Have you gone about doing anything?
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know if everybody knows this, but me and Tom took our deposit. So we lived in Cambridge. Then I was relocated. I was relocated with my job over to Cambridge. I was relocated back to Ireland within a year, which was great crack. Really stunning stuff. Also, if you break leases over there, it's a shit show.
Oh God.
Yeah, like really bad. But what there's over here is like if you break a lease, you basically just are like, see you now, bye,
Yeah,
bye, see you on another time.
You can kind of go missing then, yeah.
No, over there they can make you pay the whole rest of the lease.
Right, okay.
So and it's all to do with that whole fucking
The agency
Yeah.
thing, yeah. Okay.
But yeah, so over here what we basically did is we came back. I was over here, it was March last year, and things started to get a bit funny in my work, and that's when I was like, I'm 28, am I actually going to do this for the rest of my life?
Okay.
Oh, sorry, I was 27 at the time. So I texted Tom and I was like, here, do you want to just take the money that we had saved, which was 22 grand, and just go travelling?
That's a lot.
That's a lot of money.
It's a big risk, yeah.
Yeah, it's a huge risk. And it's funny because somebody just wrote to me the other day. I knew her from school and she was like, hey Carla, we want to do South America as well. Like, how much money did you spend? And I was like, I'm not going to lie to you. We spent 22 fucking K.
Yeah.
And when I put up a Q&A when we were away, everyone was like, how fuck me, like, how much did you spend? Oh my God, that's so much money. And I'm like, do you realise, like, travelling costs money, yeah?
Yeah.
You don't just go and it's like, for free for you.
Yeah.
Like, would it cost so much more money if you were trying to travel Ireland for that amount of time? So yeah, we came back with absolutely nothing.
Right, okay.
And we've had to start again. Now Tom is, well, not a little bit lucky, well, he is a bit luckier because he works for the HSE, obviously, so he's kind of in one of those very lovely pensionable,
Yeah.
as they say, you work in the public sector, you'll never be rich, but you'll have a great life.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we've had to kind of basically start again. Now, we are lucky in the fact that we moved back home because Ray will let us live here for little to nothing. So that's why we are back here, but it's very difficult and it makes me panic a lot.
Yeah.
Thinking about the future and thinking about what's happening.
Yeah.
So that's kind of...
So would you say that your outlook is kind of bleak?
Obviously my outlook's bleak. It's fucking Ireland. It's shite. Like,
Yeah.
you're talking about looking at, I mean, me and you were only talking about it the last time. You're looking at fucking places, and nowadays I feel like you cannot get a house in like a Dublin postal kind of area for less than 300 grand.
No.
Who the fuck earns that kind of money though?
Well, now I have kind of a different experience because obviously, so my backstory, I suppose, is that me and Adam, we've been together for 11 years. He's always rented. His mum moved up to Cavan, and he just didn't want to go. So he's been kind of living on, like, with friends and doing all the different bits. Like, he's always been renting, so he's kind of used to that. I was always in my mum's.
Yeah.
We moved into a house in Tyrrellstown. Now, bear in mind, this was during the recession. So we moved into a house in Tyrrellstown. It was 3-bed, detached house. It was actually grand.
Yeah.
And it was...
Sounds grand.
Yeah, it was 975.
Jesus, Jane.
Now, Adam he wasn't working at the time, and we could still afford that during the recession.
But isn't it gas? Because another thing that I will say is that when me and Tom, so just remember, we were paying 1,200 quid between the two of us with our bills, with everything else all in, and we were on really low salaries in the UK. Like, we were on
still afford that.
Super low salaries, and we could afford that, no problem.
Yeah, like you'd still have money at the end of the month.
Oh, I'd still have,
Yeah, well, we were the same. We lived there for a year. Shit kind of, like, dissipated just in our relationship. Now, obviously, we're all grand now, but it was just, like, not going to keep doing this. We kind of went our separate ways. He went, not that we went our separate, we stayed together, like, but we were just kind of like, right,
maybe not going to live together.
Maybe let's just give this a bit of a break. Then we'll like look into saving or whatever. We'll see how things go. So he moved into a little apartment on his own, like that. He was in receipt of like social welfare help with his apartment and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So he could do that. I was back living in my mum's. Cut to 5 years down the line.
Yeah.
Another 5 years. We were like, right, okay, look, this is gonna work. Do you know what I mean? We're still together, so we might as well just look into renting, because at the time we were like, oh, just fucking sick of living. I was sick of living in my mum's. He was living with his sister at the time, I think, and then she was affected by the housing crisis, and she was about to lose the house. So Adam had like,
Jesus.
Yeah, she was renting, you see, and the landlord was going to sell the house. So she was like, oh fuck, what am I going to do? So they had to basically get out of there, and it was like, where the fuck is Adam going to go? The rent prices were getting hiked up. He couldn't afford that anymore. And he had started working, so there was no way he was going to be able to afford rent. So we just said, look, we'll see what there is. Looked around for about, I'm going to say 3 months.
Jesus.
Went to open viewings. They were like fucking cattle markets. They were all run they were all run by estate agents who were getting money handed to them under the table. Yeah. Basically saying, hey, we're going to rent this, here's a bit of cash, make sure we're top of the list for this. Do you know what I mean? And the houses were fucking shy. Like, they were absolute kips.
Yeah.
And then we kind of started looking towards outside Dublin then. So we looked at a house in Navan. We were the only ones viewing it. You had to sign an application. Jesus. And then there was a house in Summerhill, which was fucking absolutely completely different to every single other house that we were looking at, like 3 beds, 2 beds, semi-detached houses, mid-terrace houses. This one in Summerhill was a 5-bed dormer bungalow with an like a converted garage, loads of land around it. Like this is the house that I've been living in for the last kind of 4 years. We ended up going for that, even though we got offered the house in Navan. We were just like, it was gas. Like the minute we went outside Dublin, we got offered a house. Offered to rent this house.
2 houses.
Yeah, 2 houses. So we said no to the Navan house because it was that bit further than Summerhill.
I was about to say, what's the difference? Just to kind of explain what's the difference between
Navan,
Summerhill
you're
and
going
Navan.
through with Summerhill compared to where we live or how you get to Dublin or how close kind of Cluny, I suppose, which is just the edge of Dublin. I work in Cluny and Adam worked he works all over now because he's a painter, but to get to basically the outskirts of Dublin from Summerhill, it was 25 minutes, all on back roads, no traffic. Navan, you use the motorway, but you go through 2 tolls.
See, there you go.
And you're still talking about 40 minutes to get to the border of Dublin, like after traffic, getting out of the town and stuff like that. So we were like, even though it was like
it is commutable, but it's not pleasant.
It's not pleasant, and there was about 300 in the difference with the prices. Like that was going for 900 and something in Navan, and the house that we were looking at in Summerhill, although where the location wasn't ideal, it was 1250. They had that up. No, they had it up for 1300. Then we went to view it. We were the only ones viewing it. The landlord lived on the land, so he had built that house, I think, for his future kids or whatever, and he was renting it out, and he just got the agent to kind of like work through all the lease and stuff like that. And she was showing us around, and she was like, do you have like pets? And we were just fucking, at this point we were like, do you know what, because we were kind of like open to learn. Oh no, we don't have pets, you know.
Yeah.
Even though we had
Trying
stayed,
everything,
we were just like, oh no, we don't have, because we had resorted to lying to try and get a fucking house. You know what I mean? But we were just like at our fucking wits end at the stage. We were like, yeah, no, we have a Rottweiler. He's like old. Do you know what I mean? This is the thing. And then the estate agent was like, oh, I'll have to tell the landlord that. But like as she got back to us about the pet, like the dog, she was like, oh my god, the landlord used to have all Rottweilers. He absolutely adores them. He said that's no bother. So it was lovely to
it was
even
nice
hear that.
to have that.
And you're getting offered the house. They kind of, I don't know how it even came up, but 50 quid a month got knocked off the house anyway. I don't know whether she mistakenly let us know that the past tenants had been paying $12.50, or Adam had said something about the price. I can't remember how it came up, but it came up, and they knocked 50 quid. From the beginning, when we were first looking at houses, that house was up on daft.ie that whole time. Nobody was going for it. So that's why I think...
But it is because, like, just to explain the location's kind of back roads.
Oh, back roads, yeah.
Back arsenal, where you kind of think that you're going down, like, Scary Road.
Yeah. It's a tiny little back road. Like, at the time, nobody was really kind of going towards out the outskirts of Dublin, where it's completely different now. Fucking everybody's moving to Navan and Ashbourne and Ratoath.
Everyone is,
Everybody's moving out now, whereas at that time, it was just kind of the start of the housing crisis. And you could see it in the viewings that we were having in Dublin, but we were very lucky to get a house. 2015.
Right.
That's when it started to really get bad.
That actually is when it started to really pick back up and be shite. Like.
So we had been living there for 2 years. Now, wasn't it this whole rent pressure zone? I don't get it. What it fucking did. Well, we'll be explaining the terminologies, but anyway, for 2 years they didn't do anything about the rent, and the third year they upped it. It was only by 50 a month, but we were already struggling. Adam was in and out of work, where like he was working for different painting companies, and they weren't very reliable. Like after Christmas, he just wouldn't be in work. They just weren't calling him in. It was an absolute fucking nightmare. Like I was panicked to the fucking nines that we wouldn't be able to pay for rent. Do you know what I mean? Now we never missed a payment, thank God, but we probably would have missing a week's shopping. Do you know what I mean? Like, and then some of the bills might have been like my phone bill might have been late. My diesel would have been on nearly empty all the time. Do you know what I mean? In other parts we struggled, but I always fucking made sure that the rent was paid. Yeah,
and it's shit though when you're like on such a tight. Like, because I remember when we were obviously doing the podcast and we were like trying to price things, and even but by the way, guys, this costs money. Like, this does actually cost money. This isn't free. And we were pricing things, and I remember I was like, I can just get it and we'll figure it out once you move out and stuff like that. It's like that excess money, and that's how you feel. I feel like when you're renting, because you're like, I actually can't afford that 20 euro.
20 quid.
That 20 quid, I cannot afford that 20 quid.
Exactly. No, it is like that. It's a completely different story when you're renting. But the thing is, and like, so they upped the 50 the third year, and that was grand. Then the fourth year, they tried to up it by 50 again. And we were like, you know
fuck
what?
That, no.
We just can't.
It's gas, isn't it? I feel like, and this is something that I always say when I'm like going to like debate salaries and stuff like that, or like when you're going to debate roles and jobs and anything like that, and fees, and even fees as like an influencer. Don't fucking nickel and dime me.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I always say. I'm like, we're not itemizing a bill here. Like, why are you trying to push me to that limit?
Yeah.
And like, I'd rather walk away from someone trying to do me over for 50 quid than 500 quid if it was worth it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. So it went up another 50, and and as well, I don't know what it was. We started our lease in July, right?
Yeah.
And every time they came to us for rent, it was in the January when we were already fucking struggling after Christmas. Like, they just got us at a very fucking bad time. Do you know what I mean?
And you bounced?
No, we didn't bounce. No, we talked it over and we said, you know what, fuck this. We'll make it work. Adam will move. Well, we didn't know where Adam was going to move because he was the one that I knew that my mum wouldn't allow me move in with Adam and the dogs. Yeah. Basically. So we had 2 turtles, 2 rabbits, 2 dogs. The turtles went off to their new home. The rabbits went off to their new home. I was fucking devastated saying goodbye to those animals. Like, anybody who watches me on Instagram, you'll know I fucking adore my animals. Could not do that to the dogs. Yeah. So we found it was a struggle.
Dogs are a bit more difficult to rehome though.
Oh yeah, definitely. But like up until a certain point, Messi was coming with me to my mum's. My mum was like, right, you can move in, you can have 1 dog with you.
You can have one.
Take the one that's less smelly, the one that's so Messi, the husky, they smell like fluffy blankets. I don't know what it is, they're just not smelly dogs. So she was like, yeah, you can take him. Then one day, and I don't blame my mum for this, I know she can't take the dogs. She's just one of these, like, she'll look at them and she'll go, oh yeah, he's really cute or whatever, but she can't hack dogs. She's just petrified of them. So one day she rang me and God love her, she was bawling. She was like, Jennifer, I'm sorry, I can't let you move in with I can't take the dog. I wouldn't be able. She says, that's all I've been thinking about. And I was like, oh my God, don't be fucking silly. Like,
it's fine. We'll
understand.
Figure it out.
I just wish I had known that from the start because it made things so much more difficult.
Did it?
Because Adam would have having 2 dogs then. Do you know what I mean? Wherever he was going. Now, took a while to figure out where he was going. The dogs are together. They're in his auntie's house now. She fucking adores them. They're being well looked after. And he was living in his friend's place, and now he's living with his brother, and it's a bit of a mess, but we're kind of settled now in the sense that we know where we are. We're not paying through the fucking arse to be able to survive, and we can save now. So we went for a mortgage advice last week. And he basically told us what we'd need to save and what we're entitled to, but what we'd be approved for, and what we'd have to put away. And it's literally half the amount of rent we were paying.
And how long do you have to save that for?
6 months. 6 months to a year.
And do you have savings already?
Yeah.
So you have savings that you and Adam already have banked?
Yeah. Well, that's a bit of a lie actually. We had savings. We had a couple of grand, but we decided to clear off car loans, everything like that before. So we had none of that going into it. So when we
from the start.
So when we were even getting our mortgage advice, he was like, do you have any car loans? Do you have any like hire purchase things out? Do you have anything like that? We're like, no, they're all cleared. Mm-hmm. So we could at least say that
this is exactly what we're
at least we
have
we have something to show for the savings that we did have, because we're only putting by very little. We're putting by like 200 a month.
Yeah, but sometimes like, and this is what I always say, and if you're young and you're listening to this, it's the little things that count.
Oh, that's it. Well, we were doing that while we were paying rent. Even though we were struggling, we still made sure we were putting
your savings away. Yeah.
So,
and even set it up if it's a struggle for you, just from like my own past and just things that I wish I did with money. Put like a direct debit on your account and just have a bank gone, because you can always go back into it. But it's very funny how you'll start to renegotiate your money when it's coming out of something that you're like, oh, but that's my savings. Whereas if it's there in your account, you'll spend it.
Exactly. Whereas if it's going into savings, and I think if you do it by direct debit, you don't see it in the first place. I had to come out every week to go into the credit union, But all the loans are paid off now, and we can, like, the savings account is there now. We know what we're doing, and there's a light at the end of the tunnel. And I am, like, my outlook, I think, is a little bit more positive now, because I've been looking, obviously, through research, and I'm going to explain some of the terminologies before we get listeners' stories, because we've had a huge reaction. But I think through looking through some of the schemes that are available to people like me in my position, I do have a bit more of a positive outlook. So what we can do is we'll save, we can apply to the bank for a mortgage. If we get refused, we can apply again. If we get refused, there's a thing called Rebuild in Ireland, which is a government-backed loan, basically, for a mortgage, and they will lend you up to 90%, basically a mortgage that you get with the bank, but you need to be refused by the bank twice before you can apply for it.
Interesting.
You need to be earning, as a couple or as a single person, in between 50 and 70 grand. So you need to be a low earner, basically, to apply for this. But it means that, and it's not set to, because there is also the Help to Buy scheme, which is, it's government run as well. You can find out if you're working, you can find out on revenue.ie. When you sign into your PAYE, you can apply for first time buyers. It's like a grant. So the government will give you up to €20,000 towards your deposit.
Wow.
Now, it's not guaranteed €20,000. It's up to, yeah. So you'll basically put in all your details, all your partner's details, and they will tell you how much they will give you towards a deposit. So basically, like, say they'll give you 9 grand.
Yeah.
So you just need to save whatever the rest of the
12 or something, like,
exactly, whatever the rest of the 10% is. So that's a good thing, but that only applies to new builds. So that's the first thing. The Help to Buy scheme is only to, if you want to buy a new build, which, let's face it, are getting very fucking unaffordable at the moment, especially for low earners. That's why I think the Rebuild in Ireland thing is a much better thing to go for.
Yeah.
Because you can buy either a new build, you can build yourself, or you can go for a second-hand home, and it's basically more of a guarantee. Now, as far as I know, I know people that have gotten it, they've gone through the ringer to get it, but they've gotten it.
Yeah.
After being told no by the bank twice.
And what makes the bank tell you no?
It can be a number of different things. Like, that mortgage advisor was telling us, like,
just because I haven't been to a mortgage advisor, I've kind of done everything in my own head.
Well, it depends. It depends. Every single person's circumstance is different, and the bank will. It's like a means test, basically. So, like, you could have an unpaid credit card.
Yeah.
You know, like, they'll look back on your credit history, but something that you've done that might be deemed as unreliable in the past.
Like Paddy Power. Apparently, if you've any, like, you can have. So just from my, like, chatting around and my own friends' experiences and stuff like that, like, they want to see you buy around in fucking O'Donoghue's at 3 a.m. because that means that you're living life, and it means that you can actually afford your lifestyle.
Exactly.
But an absolute no, big no, is any Paddy Power bet, like even a €5 bet.
Yeah, even the lotto.ie online, no, because he was saying that, and I was kind of asking him, because I have a few myths that I wanted busted. So he was like, have you got any questions? And I was like, is it true that a bank might refuse you if you're, like, constantly tapping your card for little coffees and shit like that, and, like, tapping your card if you buy, like, a top and pennies for €15? And he was like, absolutely fucking not. He completely busted that. He was like, we want to be able to see that you have a lifestyle, but don't be going into your fucking overdraft.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Make sure that you can afford it. So my advice to anybody would be, make sure you have at least 1,000 in your current account. Your lifestyle, quote unquote, lifestyle account that you're spending money on, so that it doesn't matter what you tap your card on, once it's not obviously gambling or the lotto or anything like that. Well, like, they don't give a shit that you have a life. Like, they're people too. Do you know what I mean? They all have. That was one of the myths that he busted for me, and I was delighted to hear that, because I was like, oh God, I'm fucking always tapping my card for coffees and, you know, shit like that. But I can obviously afford it. I'm not going into my overdraft or anything like that.
And don't take out random batches of cash.
Yeah, it's kind of weird, like, but there's certain things that, but it depends on every person individually why they might refuse you. And you might apply for a mortgage and the bank will turn around and go no, and it's over the stupidest fucking reason. But that's down to the bank.
And once you have approval, you have it for 6 months, is it?
That's it, yeah, exactly. And then, like that, if you get refused twice, you can then go for that. Look up this scheme on rebuildingireland.ie. Obviously, there's so many terms and conditions that I can't explain here.
And that's one thing that I do want to say. Like, me and Jen are not experts. So if you hear anything that piques your interest or you want more information on, pop on to Google. No point DMing us. This is as much as we know.
Yeah, exactly. So, and then citizens information is a great one as well, especially when it comes to like social housing and HAP schemes and stuff like that, because obviously they're in the rental sector, like leaving aside trying to buy a house, the rental market is just fucking mental here. Like, especially in Dublin.
Absolutely catastrophic. Do you know Dublin and the UK, London I think as well, are one of the only places in Europe where it makes more sense to buy than it does to rent.
Oh yeah.
Like, if you buy in, like, say somewhere like Sweden, if you buy in Sweden, it means that you've got money. Like, it's like, you've got a load of spare money that you just wanted to invest there.
Yeah.
Like, my mate lives over there with his boyfriend, and I think their rent is 600 quid for like a 2-bedroom brand new apartment.
Yeah.
And he was like, and they earn like really good money over there, obviously because it's Sweden, it's so fucking expensive for everything else. But they earn excellent money. So like, his wages are higher, his rent is lower.
Yeah.
But his like every day, like, your shopping is a little bit more expensive. But when we were like, I went shopping, I went to the supermarket with him a couple of times. No more expensive than Dublin, like a tenner.
Dublin is so expensive, and I think it's because we know no different that we don't think it is.
We don't. We literally are just like, that's grand, that's real cheap. Like, I can't get over how cheap it is to live in the UK. Like, to go and do the Sainsbury's shop.
But even like, I do find that even if I go away for a weekend to London, like, I don't do it that often, but when I'm in England and I see the prices and stuff, I'm like, oh my god, grab
that's
that,
a pound.
that's a fucking bargain.
Yeah, you're like, that's a pound. Oh my god, that's a pound.
It's not until you actually leave. And then like that, we lived in Greece for
so
two
cheap
summers. It's not.
Really? I thought it was so cheap.
Dublin prices, like you'd be looking for a Sex on the Beach cocktail. Now obviously it's a touristy bit, but you're like mostly orange juice, tiny bit of grenadine, fucking packed to the nines with ice, tiny bit of vodka and now peach schnapps there. It's still like a €5 or €6 for one cocktail. Like, do you know what I mean?
But you forget that cocktails aren't a €5 or €6 anymore over here. They're €12. They like started at a tenner now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, how long has it been since you fucking went for a cocktail?
Oh yeah,
because I felt that way as well.
Yeah.
Going on holiday, sometimes I'm like, that's £6, but then I'm like, Carla, it's £12 at home and you fucking pay it.
Yeah.
And you'll buy around for everybody else.
Yeah. No, I suppose getting kind of gauging off the tourists when we were over there as well. And like, this is fucking back in the day as well, when Greece was trying to still claw its way out of recession after everybody else already had.
Yeah.
Like, we the second time we were there, we were like, they were going to go bankrupt and we wouldn't have been able to get off that fucking island.
Oh yeah, with the ATMs and all that shit. Yeah,
everything would stop. Like, and there was a threat of them going bankrupt, and we were all kind of sitting there like going, what do we do? Do we get a flight home? Like, what the fuck do we do before this happens? You know what I mean? Greece was a shit show.
It was, but in all fairness, like, it was such a shit show, but it really broke my heart, because I remember seeing like this article, and it was like this old Greek man, like, you know, one of those like typical like Greek, you know, he'd like serve you like a bit of falafel and some like
the fucking cutest. The Greeks are they're just the Greek version of the Irish.
They're great, aren't they?
Our personalities
brilliant,
are
like
so
bang on. Yeah. I feel like also, if you're big Spain goers, please go to Greece, because it's absolutely undeniably the most fabulous place, brilliant, I think, in Europe. Like, I think it's iconic. But there was a photo and he had his head in his hands and he was just bawling his eyes out, and he was around 70 years old, and it was like photograph of a man who couldn't access any of his money and therefore is risking homelessness. And I mean, my heart stopped.
It was really bad. But like, I suppose Dublin, it is fucking very expensive when you go to places like that and you see, like, say for instance, even how fucking cheap the smokes are.
Yeah.
Compared to like, fakes. But it's just the fucking tax that they put on stuff over here. It's absolutely ridiculous. Like, I can't talk about it for too long because I get so irritated.
Yeah.
I get so fucking irritated. I can't listen to Niall Boylan. He's always talking about stuff like this, social welfare cheats, how fucking like lazy the government are. I can't listen to him. Can't watch the Tonight Show when they're talking to all the politicians.
You want to smash the gaff up?
Fucking irritates the life out. Honestly, that's what I want to do. I want to smash the gaff up.
I think the problem is, and I think where everybody's frustration is like, it's just falling on deaf ears. Everything that we're doing, all of the marches, all of the shit that we're doing is just being bounced back by like a very small group of very wealthy people. And it's like, as much as they're And I don't want to be one of those fucking, like, you know, taxi men that come in and be like, why don't the government just, you know, you know, or just buy a load of land, just build a load of houses.
I'm like that as well. So I even said this on Instagram before. I was like, my kind of thing would be like, get somebody in the government who's just like, print a load of more money, then we won't be in a fucking recession anymore.
Yeah, like that was, like that fucking, that kind
logic,
of thing.
like,
that logic.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's a bit bigger than that. But I do feel like there's just so much, like, even the way that they were trying to, you know, take over, like, some of the NAMA buildings for, like, homelessness.
Yeah.
And, like, homelessness, I think there's two things that really, like, that get me going. And it's homelessness and, like, women's rights. Those are, like, my two fucking triggers. Otherwise, like, Tom's like, you don't bother with politics. And then all of a sudden someone says something about a woman. Fuck me, you're on the front line. And I'm like, woo, yeah. But that really gets my goat. Because I'm like, why though? Why though? Why though? It's sitting there. You could do it for a year. You could do it for 6 months. You'd be helping these people out. Our biggest crisis in Ireland is homelessness.
And they were kicking people over to bulldoze it.
Yeah, and it's like bullshit. Like, and anyway, I'll be fucking here for years. I'll be
just
here
a bit
years.
of context. There was a NAMA building, a derelict building.
No one was in it.
That was bought over by NAMA, and homeless. It was basically people who were living on the streets. Who started that movement? I know by the
it wasn't
end...
Hosier, but I know he was there.
Yeah, I know. That's what I was going to say. By the end of it, you had Glenn Hansard and fucking Hosier bleeding Bono.
I think Glenn Hansard started it.
Yeah. But people who were living on the streets went in, took over. There was little kitchenettes.
Yeah. And they were happy.
Actually happy. And this was around Christmas time as well, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And they just basically went in and squatted. But it was
a functional squatting building.
Exactly.
And I feel like squatting has a really negative connotation when it comes to it, because it's like, even think of the word squat.
But like desperate measures for people.
But also, if you're going to go in, and that's what, it was the fact that why people were so outraged was it was a working module.
Yeah.
Like, it was a totally working...
It was an office building.
Like, it was totally fine. People, like, they were happy. They were figuring it out. It wasn't costing. It wasn't doing anything. They were able to have somewhere safe, clean, warm.
Yeah.
And they were able to kind of basically make it their own.
Yeah.
No, government weren't happy with that.
No, they tried to... They did force them out.
Yeah, they
did.
Yeah.
And then you had...
I don't know if it's been bulldozed, but they're definitely out.
But all of a sudden, this thing had been fucking lying there derelict for ages.
Yeah.
Then the squatters moved in. Then all of a sudden the government was like, oh no, we need this. This is being bulldozed really soon. Oh no, we're going to be like, but nothing before that. Like there was probably no fucking plans in place before the squatters showed up.
Yeah, they were like, shit.
By the end of it, you did have a movement from the likes of Glenn Hansard.
A celebrity movement,
They came out and they were singing for these people's rights, and loads of people backed them.
Apollo House.
Apollo House, that's the name of it. Yeah, if you actually Google Apollo House,
if you want to,
a lot of it will come up. But loads of people got behind them, and like that again, fell on fucking deaf ears.
Nobody gave a flying shite. Like,
not from the government anyway. Like the people were behind it 100%, but
like, and I will say it was, and I remember Ray was fucking outraged, and like when Ray gets angry, like that doesn't happen very often. So I was like, oh fuck my life. But I remember just feeling
in the depths of winter.
It was like, it was like, honestly, it was like fucking minus whatever outside. It was like, and and that's one thing about Ireland, and that's why sometimes I feel like I don't want to buy a house here. How fucking gloomy it is in the winter over here. Yeah, it's so shit. And like, imagine at that point being homeless and having yourself set up and having a bit of hope. Yeah, because that's one of the things. Like they say, 80% of homeless people suffer with mental illness. Yeah, and just having that little sniff of like, this isn't so bad,
keep him going,
to have it ripped away from you is just so diabolical. And it just goes to show what kind of people we have in power. And I do feel like we'll get there, but we're not going to get there quick enough. And I feel like that's just fucking typical Ireland, isn't it? It is. It's like the same with the electric cars. Like there's 1,000 charging stations for electric cars. We've 6,000 electric vehicles. Yeah, when you go, like, it's like the shit that we do it so backwards.
Oh, absolutely.
And we're so like diabolical when it comes to it. But let's not talk about me and Jen's frustrations.
Yeah,
let's talk about your frustrations.
Yeah, we got a huge reaction to this. There's so many people in difficult situations surrounding the housing crisis. I think we're going to need to do a part 2 of this, actually.
Yeah, I think we probably will, because we have had such a huge response. And I just want to say thank you so much. Every week we get more and more responses, but we want to keep it topical. Like, we want it to be something that you guys are like, this is what I feel.
Yeah.
Like this is what I want to hear people talk about. There's nothing worse than fucking sitting down for an hour and listening to people talk shite about stuff that you don't care about.
Yeah, exactly.
And I feel like we've had loads of different reactions. So let's just get cracking, shall we? So we have one here from Anon. I'm actually going to keep everybody Anon because there's been a mixture of people being like Anon and not Anon. So
Yeah,
I'm just going to keep you all Anon. Okay.
Yeah.
So long message, but this subject really gets to me. Ireland's a fucking nightmare for young working people to get on the property ladder. My situation is I'm single, 35, I had to move back to the parents, rent increased to crazy money, living and working in Dublin, home now, trying to save as much as possible to be able to buy a box. A few different issues. So because of the bank issues going back to the central bank have since made it impossible for one person working a regular job for an average salary to get a mortgage sufficient to buy a property. The maximum mortgage available is 3.5 times your salary. So for example, somebody on a salary of 30k, the minimum mortgage available to that person from any of the banks would be 105k.
Which you can't. You
couldn't buy.
Yeah, can I just intercept you again, just for context for anybody who's not living in Dublin, who's not in the situation at the moment, and it's probably so. Basically, the problem I think with it is during the recession, everybody whoever kept working, that was grand. There was cuts. We came out of the recession, people's wages didn't come up, but the fucking housing prices did.
Yeah, and that's the problem.
So, and then because it was such a shit show, so basically during the Celtic Tiger before the recession, people were getting 100% mortgages, they were getting tracker mortgages, they were basically getting mortgages fucked at them.
Yeah, it was like, do you want to get it for $1 million?
Yeah, anybody could get a house, and stupid prices, well outside their means. Then during the recession, a lot of the houses were taken off them, banks were repossessing them. And then coming back out of the recession, this is all layman's terms, obviously. I know it's a lot more complex than this, but layman's terms, the banks basically said, okay, so we're not going to do that again because that was a shit show. What we're going to do is people can have a mortgage for 3.5 times their salary. But the problem now is that the prices have hiked so much that it's not sustainable for anybody.
But who's on that fucking salary?
Nobody's on that salary. It's only high earners, which is why I think the likes of Rebuilding Ireland is a fucking great scheme.
Yeah.
If you can get a house.
But I also feel like they need to like think about it a bit more, and like there's so many things that need to go into it.
Like I did that just another side note before you keep going, the Rebuilding Ireland thing. I think the reason why that's the better one to go for, as opposed to trying to get the help to buy through a bank.
Hashtag spot.
Yeah.
Looking for a hashtag spot.
Well, it's because you can get a second-hand house, because I've been looking at both new builds and second-hand houses. The second-hand houses are so much fucking cheaper.
Yeah.
I've been looking in Blanche and Finglas, and I could well afford one of them.
Yeah, yeah.
With what I would be approved for.
Yeah.
But because we're going to probably be relying on the help to buy because we're having a baby, we want to do it as quick as possible. We will want to avail of that, but they're going to make us buy a brand new build, which we can't afford. So we're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like if we were to apply through a bank, like we'd have to be refused twice from the bank to be able to avail of the Rebuilding Ireland. But in order to do that, we'd have to get the help to buy.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's very complicated. Like such a pain in the hole.
So the maximum mortgage available 3.5 times your salary. So for example, somebody on a salary 30k, the maximum mortgage available to that person from any of the banks would be 105k. So the average 2-bed house in Dublin or outskirts, you're talking at least 250k. Therefore, the savings would be needed is the difference plus solicitor fees, which everyone forgets, stamp duty, which I forget about, surveyor fees, also true, valuation costs, and then obviously money to furnish. So probably an extra 10k. I think you're being cheap on that. I'm thinking an extra 20.
No, like the solicitor fees, survey fees, count like property tax, stamp duty, all that. You're looking at about 5k.
Fuck me.
That's what I was told last week. You're looking at 5k on top of everything else. Some banks will give you money back on that, on your legal fees. Ulster Bank at the moment, which is where we got our advice from, they will give you 1,500 back off that.
There you go.
But you have to pay it up front in the first place.
So who bloody has 155 grand in their early 30s? Nobody that I know.
Especially if you're single.
Yeah, definitely.
If you've two wages coming in, it's a bit more achievable, I think. Not 155k like after, but you'd need to be saving for fucking years, but it's a bit more achievable with two incomes, I think. Yeah. Rather than a single person has no chance.
No, definitely. And I think this is what this
Yeah.
Viewer saying. So rent's gone out of control. The landlords are absolutely raking it in. There are too many ways around the rent increase rule for them. Absolutely true.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Generally, renting, especially in Dublin, costs more than what a mortgage repayment would be for most people. 100%. A mortgage of 250k would on average be 1,000 to 1,200 per month, depending on term. Whereas the apartment myself and my friend were renting was 2,500 per month.
Yeah.
And that's only now. So I'm going to stop there because I always think of this like, I think this house that I'm living in now, I think like my parents bought for like probably what, like 60 grand back in the fucking day. Like, I don't know now, I could be totally off, but
humble little 3-bed down in Hartstown was 40k.
Yeah, exactly. So that probably Castleknock, I'd say it was probably 60k or something. Yeah. This house is now worth, I think, 700 grand. I'm not even joking.
It's crazy.
It's fucking, and I wouldn't mind like this house that there's no upkeep to it and whatever, not even getting into it about the house. But like, and houses on this road have gone for up to 850k.
That's ridiculous. Like,
so imagine, and if you were trying to rent a house on this road, it would be, oh no, I know, you can say it. No offence, this is not an elaborate house.
It's not an elaborate house. I'm looking at the houses, they're so fucking average.
Yeah, no, they're basic.
It's because of the
It's because of the location. Yeah, it's because I live in Castleknock and I live right beside the park. So people are like, woohoo. But who was, that's what I'm saying, because on this road, Ray and then my next door neighbours, I think we're one of the only like original families. Everybody else who's on this road are like are coming in with kids. And how the fuck, I feel like going, hey, can I ask who the fuck you afforded this home?
Why don't you just go around knocking on the doors?
Well, I know one's a teacher, so I might ask her, but
teachers don't earn that much.
That's what I'm saying. I was like, how the fuck did you fucking afford this?
Teachers are fucked over as much as nurses are.
But you know what my dad was saying to me, and I didn't realise that, he said a lot of people on my road have done house swap. So they have bought a house, like a 2 or 3 bed, in some of a less expensive area, and swapped with their parents.
Oh.
Yeah. Because at the end of the day, like, obviously the best thing about living in Castleknock is the fact that I can be in town in
it's so
12 minutes.
Handy.
It's fucking, and like, I'm on the M50 in 2 seconds.
I'm going in for my scan after this podcast, so we're going to have to end this in about 10 minutes just so I can get there. But literally, it'll take me 15 minutes.
15 minutes, like, and that's what I'm saying. The whole idea and why I love it so much is because it makes so much sense for me. It makes so much sense for Tom, just with the way that we travel. I can be anywhere. Yeah. And like everywhere that I go, everyone's like, oh, where'd you come from? And I'm like, Castleknock. And they're like, who the fuck is that? And I'm like, it's just off the M50 right beside the park, so I can go anywhere. But that is, and they're not elaborate houses, like they're not fucking big saucy yokes. Now there is like, it's funny when clients come here, they're always like, Jesus, I didn't know about this area. Obviously if you're from the south side, not a lot of people know about here. No. But they're like, Jesus, the fucking houses out there. And I'm like, yeah, we're in 2.5 million. Yeah. Like, and that's around 3 roads up. That's do you know what I mean?
What is it? Deer Park
is, oh, that's where my dad, lucky prick, grew up. My grandparents owned a house in Deer Park, and that is just like, that's where you want to live, isn't it? Like, it's like an American like gorge.
And you can literally look out your bedroom window and see Peck's Lane. Like, Peck's Lane is fucking
exactly. So
like, it make you sick.
Great crack, you know. But that's exactly it. And then there was somebody renting on this road, and I think the rent was like nearly 3 grand, 2,800. Who can afford 2,800? Yeah. Plus save for a mortgage.
But the thing is, you have to like...
How are they allowed that? Because if they're paying off a mortgage, like say they bought the house, these people that bought the house, let's just say they bought the house, I don't know, in the 90s for 150k. Think about where their mortgage is, and they are getting, and I get it, people see it, and it's like, it's a tough one, because it's like, if I could get more money, why won't I get more money? Yeah. But then at the same time, you're like...
It's not fair on the people.
It's 100% not fair.
Yeah, no, I know. That's the thing, because even my landlord, and I, like the house that I just moved out of, I thought it was so fucking ironic. So, basically, he's a farmer. He built the house himself on his own land. Fair. I would imagine there was no mortgage on it.
Yeah, fair.
He was renting it out. Now, in comparison... Now, keep in mind the location, but in comparison, I wasn't paying that much rent as, like, in compared to Dublin. The house was big, so it was still quite expensive for where it was. But because he was looking for more rent, and we were moving out, and now in fairness to them, they were lovely. They gave us back the full deposit. Obviously, we were living there for years. We'd nowhere to put furniture that we'd bought over the years, so we just told them to keep it. They gave us extra money for the furniture. They did, like, they treated us very well. I know they were so, I wouldn't take it away from them. They're lovely people, absolutely lovely people. But I just thought it was so fucking ironic that he turned around and he was like, oh, you'd be better off getting a mortgage than renting. And I was like... You're the one fucking hiking the rents.
obviously.
What? I just couldn't understand what was coming out of his mouth when he was the one inflicting this. Like, if he hadn't raised the rent, we'd still be living there.
Especially if he was a farmer. He built the land. He built the house. That's been paid off well by now.
That's the thing. Now, you never know anybody's situation, so look, I'm not going to say that I assumed that that's what the situation was. I just found it so fucking laughable that he was saying that to us when he was the one inflicting it on us.
I find it comical. Like, I absolutely find it comical.
Now, put yourself in a landlord's position. Are you going to go with the market value? Are you going to get the most money out of it? Absolutely. But
because you can. That's the problem. There's no capping.
But that's the this is absolutely it. There needs to be caps. There needs to be more infrastructure. And you know, you're gonna get people saying, "Oh yeah, but then the rent pressure zones and the price freezes that drove the fucking price of everything up before it was even implemented."
I know.
Landlords heard, "Oh shit, there's gonna be a price freeze." They hiked the fucking prices up about 500 quid so that they could sit on that for the next 2 years before they could do it again.
Yeah.
It was fucking it was like, they're so fucking greedy.
I know, it's actually killing me. And then, so same message, social housing, long waiting lists, not something that would generally be granted to a single working professional who's living at home. True. I think the government and the central bank need to revisit the property crisis, and especially for the working class young people trying to get on the property ladder. There's a couple of things they can do. For example, not limit the mortgage to 3.5 times the salary. That's something that I'm very passionate about as well.
See, this is the thing. This is why they did it though, because of how crazy it went before.
It should be looked at more so on a repayment capacity basis.
Yes.
So if the person has been paying rent at 1,200 quid and is saving 500 per month, they should be entitled to apply for a mortgage that would be equivalent to the outgoings they have proven they can pay.
That's
absolutely. I think it should take a little bit, like not a little bit longer, but I think it should be a little bit smarter and look at what people can pay for a mortgage.
Yes.
Do you get me? So they've decided 3.5 times that's that. But I'm like, hold on.
Yeah, it's very general, and they should be doing it on a person-to-person basis.
I'd rather pay 1,600 quid in a mortgage to live in a place that I want to live and to be able to afford a house that I want to live in Dublin than just to be like, oh, you can only get X because you're earning Y. And that's my problem. And especially, like, it's my biggest panic when you're like talking about jobs and talking about salaries and stuff like that. I'm like, I'm sorry, I have to push for more money because I need a fucking mortgage.
Yeah, exactly.
I know a lot of people are like that, and I'm not a money driven person. I don't think you are either.
No.
I'm just not that. I don't know why I'm not that way inclined. I don't know why some people are the way that they are and why some people aren't the way that they are. But I've just never been. You can ask any of my friends. I've just never been money motivated. Doesn't really get my goat. I go and I do.
I wouldn't be in the same job for the last 14 years if I was fucking money
motivated. Yeah, exactly. But I'm not money motivated, like even slightly. And I'm always like, oh yeah, that's grand, and I don't know why, but this has made me become like money motivated, which I don't really like, and it's made me say no to certain things and yes to other things that I wouldn't necessarily say yes or no to, just because I need to be that person. I need to have that salary, or I need to do those kind of things, and that's like what is absolutely fuck.
I think she's absolutely right in that they should be looking at the individual basis.
Yeah,
this whole
everything. So generalization doesn't work.
No, so the infrastructure that was in before the recession didn't work. This generalization clearly isn't working. Yeah, because people can't fucking get on the property ladder. It should definitely be a person-to-person basis.
Absolutely.
Especially, that's what really pisses me off, is the fact that rent is supposed to be a more affordable thing than paying a mortgage. And it's completely the opposite now in Dublin. Like, it's far more expensive to rent now than it is to get a mortgage.
Exactly.
It shouldn't be the way, and it's just...
It's so fucked. Just said, I would 100% agree mortgages should be available again. I feel like this is something for young people, couples that have been renting long term, and because of the high rents haven't been able to build up their deposits and aren't into that position to be gifted 150 grand from mammy and daddy.
Yeah.
And that's another big thing.
It is.
I live in Castleknock. Like, that is... Anybody that I went to school with that I see buying in Castleknock, I'm like,
but how though?
Yo, your parents probably caused the recession.
Yeah, definitely.
Yo, your parents probably caused the recession. Because in what way? I'm like, I know you're a fucking fourth year nurse, and I know he's a, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm like, what's going on here, lad?
It does. Like, you wouldn't begrudge them, but
I don't begrudge I don't begrudge anybody, but I do feel like sometimes it's like, you know, when young people are buying and it's that real kind of like, just get a mortgage. Yeah, no fucking problem, babe. No, it does. It's a hard old graft. Absolutely.
I think we're going to have to leave it there for this week, Carla.
Yeah, no, when I mean we haven't even touched them.
No, we haven't touched them, so I think so. Basically, I have to go in for my scan. We have a time limit on today, so apologies for the short pod in comparison to other ones.
Spain.
And Carla's gone to Spain for 4 days, so we are going to touch on the second part of this next week. If you've been affected by anything.
And next week will be the viewers' reaction.
Exactly.
And if you've any reaction to this week, I suppose, then get it in for next week, and we'll just do a big fucking chunker of a yoke. Go through it all, because it is such a hot topic, and it's something that everybody's suffering with.
Yeah.
That I feel like we can definitely get this going, guys. Get it all out there.
Yeah, exactly. So get your thoughts into us, and we'll probably just basically go through listeners'
views, but I think it's great. I've already had a look, and there's been some really interesting things that I never knew about.
Oh, okay, so we can learn a bit.
Yeah, we can learn loads. Yeah, we can learn together.
Obviously, I referenced a few things in this, so if you want to know more about them, citizensadvice.ie, rebuildingireland.ie and helptobuy.ie are all the websites that I have my little bits of information from. Now, obviously, I relayed them in layman's terms. They're a bit more complex. See, do they apply to you? See what you need to be eligible for them and stuff like that, but they're the ones that I referenced just in case you do want to look back into them, because some of it is helpful information that, again, I didn't know.
Yeah, no, there's...
You learn a little bit every time you read something, so...
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so have a look at them, and we will talk just next week.
TY.